Katharina is a co-founder of Migration Hub Network and is the head of marketing right now at Kieran Ventures. And welcome, and here's your stage.
Thanks very much. So, as you already mentioned, I have two more people with me on stage, which I will introduce in a minute, which is my friends Rafi and Kashif. And because I'm going to talk about the rebalancing of the offline and online integration, I'm not going to talk about what integration means or whatever, if it's a good term to use or not, but I would like for them to share their stories, what online, offline tools they were using and what they kind of see as where we have to proceed towards. So for me, when I got into the whole topic, and you saw Paula on stage before, actually last summer I was part of the crew of the first startup boat. And the reason I actually went there is because when Paula called me up, she said like, hey, we're going to build like digital tools for refugees. And myself coming from a startup background, I thought like, okay, of course digital tools are the solution because they're super scalable, and therefore we only have to implement them once and then they're going to solve a lot. So when we went to Samos, we wanted to not only build digital tools, but also learn from the people who are there, which is why we of course applied methodology like design thinking, whatever, which involved being out there, helping people and learning about their needs. And what we learned back then is, apart from all the other things they needed, is one thing that they're lacking is information. So for us, the consequences were that we built an information platform. It's still out there. It's not really up to date anymore, but I mean, that's part of the issue if you're dealing with information. So for me, the key that I found there is you have to talk to people to figure out like what their needs are, and therefore build solutions which they really need, and not something that came up in our minds thinking that somebody else needs. What I learned when we were coming back, and that was last September, so I guess we can say there was a huge enthusiasm back then, a huge hype, a lot of people getting involved for various reasons, and which was of course very good that so many people got involved, but it also meant that a lot of things were being built, not only online but also offline. A lot of apps were being built. And what we realized when we came back is that a lot of people are working on a lot of things, and a lot of people are working on similar things, not only all over Europe, but also all over Germany or all over Berlin. And quite often people don't really know what everyone else is doing. What we also saw is that a lot of these tools are being built without ever involving those whom they are built for, in this case newcomers or refugees. And what I also realized is that there's different kind of tools that are being built, or different needs that need to be fulfilled. Some of them are very short-term, which meant when we were in Samos, of course, it was crisis response, meaning that the needs of the people were kind of similar, meaning they just arrived in Europe, they were in need of certain things like food and water, information, access to electricity, access to clothes, access to internet. But this is only a very short-term solution that you can build then, and it's kind of attracting, or it's answering a need that the masses have. So there's one solution for all, but if you move along the different steps, you realize at some point that the needs in the mid and in the long term get more diverse, which means there is not one solution for everyone. And a lot of the more online tools or digital tools that were built last year were really addressing these crisis response topics, and we're really addressing like a solution, one fits all. And it's not only about where people are coming from, that you can't put everyone in one pot. Not everyone from Syria is the same. Not everyone has the same needs. Fatuma before was talking about what females need. It's different what men need, it's different what kids need, and it's also very personal, depending on like what kind of personality you have, and I will share a story about that in a minute. So I still see a lot of things being started which do not involve the users, and I find it a bit funny that these days where everyone is talking about user-centered design, and I believe Rocket is not investing in any company that's not done some user research before. There's still, especially also from big corporates, but also from a lot of our ministries, a lot of things being done for refugees who never involved refugees along the way. So the other thing that one can see, which I find funny, that a lot of people build tools for refugees, online tools, but on the other hand, at some very specific points, there are no tools at all. For example, for example, if you go to Lageso, the process there is still not very digital, which means somebody could focus on that. I know it's very hard to do so, but just thinking about that, a solution for refugees does not only always mean that you build an app for a refugee, but it can also mean that you're building an app for an organization or for the volunteers. So one example that I wanted to give is when it comes to legal, so to make it a bit more concrete. All of our ministries have like information on their website of quite often also addressing refugees, which means it's in Arabic, it's in Pashto, whatever. But it's even hard for us Germans to understand what's going on there, which also looks like that legal information is also once again a one-fits-all, and maybe Rafi and Kashif can share in a minute that the issues are very individual, which means there is not one legal status for everyone, but it's really based on the individual story. I have a friend that I actually met. I met his brother on Samos when we were there last summer. He's a former lawyer, or he studied law in Syria, and he kind of knew what that language is like, and so he really looked into things, but. Everything he does is he's looking things up and then he's calling me or somebody else to check if he really understood correctly. So at some point I asked him whether it's making sense for him to actually read all that information online. He's like, yeah, basically not, because I'd rather talk to you about it or talk to like another friend about it to explain to me what's going on, because I don't really trust the information I get there, because I'm never sure if I understood correctly. So there are people, for example, from Refugee Law Clinic. It's law students from all over Germany who come together who they specify in immigration law to actually consult refugees who come here for free. Meaning they are doing that one-on-one. Sometimes they're doing meetings where on a specific topic, so people can come say like, hey, I'm like in the beginning of applying for asylum, so what is it that I need to do? But they're doing it one-on-one. They're not trying to put like a manual together saying like, hey, this is handing it out at Lageso, this is like all the information you need. What they digitize is actually a manual for the people working for them, which means basically for the German lawyers, so they kind of know what they need to tell people. So this is one example where you can see one might think that the legal issue is very scalable because it's all the same, but it's very individual, and in this case it makes much more sense to condense the information for those who are helping and not for those who it's actually for. Paula mentioned before, and I was also introduced the way that we founded Migration Hub together as a place where people and initiatives and also refugees can come together and cooperate and create synergies. So this place, still exists, and like for over than half a year, we're bringing people together on a regular basis, because we realized if people don't come together in person, they can, connect online and join Facebook groups as much as they want, but basically they have to come together to join forces. And to mention maybe a few of these initiatives that are combining that offline and online component, and I saw that somebody in the back from Vfugee is sitting here. For example, Vfugee is an online tool. It's a Q&A platform where refugees can ask questions, and they collect the questions, and the very general questions you can follow in a thread. So maybe you look in there, look them up, and you see that, oh, my question has already been asked and it has been answered. Maybe I find my answer there, or I just ask that question again, and then it's actually people answering, which means it's an online tool, but it's very direct communication. Another very much online tool, which was not aiming at refugees, but actually at the volunteers, is Volunteer Planner. Some people might know about that, which was trying to build a tool so all the organizations can actually organize their volunteers, which has been super successful. In this case, an online tool was the perfect answer, but it's helping refugees, but it's not for refugees in this case. Some other actually very offline solutions, but which are still scaling, is these initiatives which are called Start with a Friend or Über den Tellerrand kochen, which are both aiming at bringing people together. The way that they are scaling is not because they're building something online, but they kind of created blueprints out of the work that we're doing here in Berlin and scaling it all over Germany and all over Europe at the moment, which means they wrote a manual and they're training people, and so this idea spreads without it having to be online. So I told you that I wanted to introduce my guests here, and I would love for Rafi to come up here. Rafi and I met a while ago, last October, I believe. He will share in a minute how we met. And can you come up? don't worry. So Rafi is from Gaza, so from Palestine, and maybe you can actually share the story how we met, because I think it explains very well how you were actually using online tools when you came here.
It's working?
Yeah.
Hello again. My name is Rafi. I'm from Gaza. So before a year and a half, when I came here, before I came to Europe, it took me 3 days to decide to be in Europe. So first day, okay, I'm gonna be a refugee in Europe. All right, so I search everywhere, Facebook, websites, people, asking people how to go there, how to be in Europe. The second day, okay, which city I want? There is Greece, Sweden, many countries, it's everyone, you can travel everywhere. This for me, it's very exciting, because from Middle East or from Gaza, it's hard really to travel everywhere. So it took me 1 day to choose. Then I choose to be in Germany and Berlin. The third day, I start to check where and how can I do there. So I found this application called Vamos. And when I came to Germany, I start it's about application showing some events on Facebook and order it by time, by the place. So for me, every day when I'm in Berlin, every day in the morning, I check, do my research. I'm starting going. I bought a bicycle, so I'm driving everywhere from 8 until 12. Then I came back to my home. So it's for 3 months. So I'm moving a lot, and I meet a lot of people. Then I meet a friend by just in Facebook. Someone, she wants help with her boat, someone to paint. Then, okay, I want to do it. Because for me, I spent a lot of time, not allowed to work, not allowed to travel. So I felt I don't need a permission to work. I don't need to have, it's just paper, just thing. It's not about okay, I'm an engineer. I should be an engineer. No, it's hard. So I want to do something. Then I met my friend Kristen. Then we friend. Then she invited me to event. Katharina was there. She talked to Katharina. Rafi, he wants a job. Please give him a job. And she said, yes, I have. So then we start to work together, and we did a lot of projects. I'm doing many stuffs. So I learned from just start with small application.
But the thing is, as far as I remember, that the application you were using is not for refugees, right? It's a tourist application.
It's just a tourist application.
So why did you use that one and not a refugee app or whatever?
Believe me or not, until now, I don't know any application for refugees. I don't know, yeah, it's why, I don't know, why, okay guys, if you have an application for white people, you're gonna use it? Why I should have an application for refugees? Just I feel I'm normal, I can read English, I can search, why I should need something for me? I don't want to feel I'm special or different. No, I'm also I have a knowledge to be normal.
Yeah, awesome. Thanks, Rafi. So to maybe summarize a little bit what Rafi just said, and what I also wanted to point out is what I learned over the last year is basically that the app is not the answer, which doesn't mean that digital tools are not part of the whole integration or tackling the refugee crisis process, but it's definitely just one part of the solution and can never be the whole one. And I also think there needs to be a stronger focus building like digital tools for those who support instead of for those who are actually seeking for information. So I was very glad, for example, when the guy who did the refugee law clinic at some point shared his document with me, which had like all these immigration law issues on there, because then I could tell my friends, being like, hey, this is where you have to go, and actually connect people. And another example that I want to give, and I mean, I was introduced that as head of marketing at Chiron. So just briefly, I don't want this to be about Chiron, but as an example, what Chiron does is we enable refugees to get access to higher education. And the way we do that is by having them study online wherever they are for 2 years. We do that because we have partnerships with MOOC providers, massive open online courses. We gather all that content and have 4 study tracks at the moment. Kashif is actually studying engineering with us. We have business administration and computer science and social sciences. And after those 1 to 2 years that they study with us online, we transfer them to a partner university so they get an accredited degree from a partner university. One other thing that we do is something that's called direct academics, and actually one of our teachers this morning shared a very lovely post on Facebook, and this is why I included it. So direct academics works in that way that he's a teacher, I think he's a professor in Aachen, and he I think 10 to 15 people sign up to his course. I don't know if you study with Burkhard. I don't know, he's doing some engineering stuff, but maybe at some, yeah, you know him. So for example, he was teaching a lesson last night. So people are joining in via Skype, and he shared this morning that he had people in there from Syria, Eritrea, Afghanistan, Thailand, Bangladesh. They were based in Italy, Sweden, Germany, Netherlands, and Austria. So in this way, this is a beautiful online tool, but on the other hand, it enables very direct interaction. So, because I can talk a lot about how Chiron works, but to give you a better insight in how it works, I would actually ask Kashif to share some of his stories. And the first one would be, how did you hear about Chiron, and when did you get involved?
Well, hello everyone. When I was coming from Pakistan, I started my journey. So I met with a Canadian girl who was a social worker in Greece in the camp. So we discussed about our future planning and what my future and my destiny and what I want to do. So when I arrived, so she messaged me that there is such a platform which can help you and you can access to higher education. So then I found that it is Chiron. And it was like a new life and new identity for me to be a student, not to be only a refugee. And I really dislike the word refugee but in fact, every child is a refugee. Because when we are born, we come from the new world with no status. But then our parents gave us a status.
Very true. So what, you're with Chiron for half a year now, so maybe you can give people like an insight in how your life as a student looks like?
Oh yeah, surely well. When we came, we were just lost, so when we got the platform, then I asked myself, you have only two options, do or die. So I preferred to do, so now I'm doing. And I preferred engineering because engineers are the architect of the world because they decorate and modelize the world. And well, the world started with the wheel and now has become a global village. And I will say something about digital integration. Chiron is a transition between digital and traditional because it digitalized. As we know that in the era of modernism, robotics, 3D tech, and artificial intelligence, ignorance is not obligation, it's an option. So for youths, we all refugees. When we came here, we had nothing, but we are thankful to you people, you give us love, respect, and a meaningful life. So now, Wir wollen nicht nur Belastung für die Gemeinschaft, sondern zu beitragen und zu dienen. So we are also part of you. We also want to come in front and to participate and to contribute to the host community.
Thank you so much, Kashif. So, kind of to summarize what this whole talk is about and what Kashif and Rafi were sharing is that basically the idea is that we are somehow building bridges. Karen in this case is building a bridge between being a refugee and having not having the ability to actually access university, but always bridging that to for that perspective change that Kashif was talking about, because we want our students to be students, and they're not refugee students, but they're students. And we're not only doing that online, but also offline, and that's something, this whole mix that I was also emphasizing on with the different examples, what seems to be the right solution. I wanted to share data about how many online solutions are out there, how many offline solutions are out there, but unfortunately there is not really data out there to see like how many projects have been started. I can tell, like from the experience of being involved for almost a year now, that I've seen anonymous all over Europe, all over the world. I'm happy to see like also a lot of friends that I met all over Europe. I have a friend from Italy sitting here, so we met last year, for example, in Rome, where we were working on things. There were people from South America, some people from Tel Aviv joining in right now, who we are also working between Berlin and Tel Aviv. So it's obviously a global issue that's also can be solved globally, but quite often taking into account the needs of the very specific location and the needs of the individuals. So some very small data that I can share is a friend of mine who did did research for Bundeszentrale für politische Bildung. She had a look at like I think 40 different apps for refugees. She was testing them, like how much they're being used. She did interviews, but also looked at download rates and all that kind of stuff. And it's kind of the results that that Rafi was also already giving, that like very few of them are actually being used. Another maybe example, another number that I can give, there's people from an initiative called Social Collective. They're looking more at bringing everyone together. They also did some research, and they figured that all of the initiatives they interviewed, so in this case I'm talking about initiatives for refugees, that 67% of them don't have refugees in their core team. They might involve them sometimes, but they would love to involve more people, but don't really know how. So this is this is the other issue we are tackling. So for the, I guess for the final, I would just love the two of you to come up here again. And what I would like to ask you is, what do you think is missing, and what would you like to pass on to those who are, trying to build tools or trying to support refugees? Though I know that the term is not very much liked.
So human life is always problematic, but the main thing is your attitude, how you deal with it. Because success is not a skill, it's an attitude. So we have a lot of opportunities, we have a lot of things, a lot of tools, but we just have to utilize, we just have to take advantage of. And the main thing we need, that is mutual understanding, and the main thing is harmony. Because both of us, we have to work together, and we can make the Germany proud. And let's make our generations proud, I will say. And the main thing is to work in a teamwork. And man can do anything. And the impossible word is no word. There's no room for failure. Only the success is our destiny. Just make it.
Awesome. Rafi?
Anyone say Grey's Anatomy?
Yeah, most people saw Grey's Anatomy.
Yeah,
so
people
really smiling,
me, like,
but very shy.
There's a scene like doctors from Syria, they want to make an operation. So they tell the doctor, American doctor, they told them, please simulate what you're doing in Syria. So they told them, okay, there is a lot of tools, we don't use it. We just do two things. And there is no electricity. We just have a flashlight. And we make a lot of operation. So this is what the idea. people don't have a lot of tools, but they're doing a lot of stuff. Can you imagine if you give them tools, if you give them like the same people here, what they're gonna do? Thank you very much.
Thanks, you guys. Yeah, you should stay. So no, you should stay here. You should stay here because it's. So the kind of the final words that I want to say is, I guess. We have if you look at the numbers, how many people came and how many things were done, we have a lot of numbers and a lot of data, but sometimes we forget that there are a lot of stories behind that. And I believe telling the individual story is not only because it's such a nice story to tell, but it's the way how we engage. And I personally am very happy to have Kashif and Rafi as my friends here. Not only that, Kashif is also a student with us, and Rafi is working with me, and I heavily rely on his work in the marketing team at Karen, but it's also about coming together and being friends. And I believe the way to move forward is, yes, we can use a lot of online and digital to start the conversation or to keep it up to date, I guess, as everyone else is doing, how you stay connected with friends all over Facebook. But at the end of the day, it's about meeting in person and finding that way to learn from one another. And I believe that that's what it's all about. So, yes, we are family. That's right. So, so thank you guys so much for also being here and sharing your story. And yeah, thank you guys for listening. And I hope we somehow start that conversation about what the right or what a good balance is between the online and the offline. Not only when it comes to the integrating refugees, using two terms that I actually don't like, but that's just what we're talking about. But also, yeah, how we can all engage together. Thanks a lot.
Thank you very much.